Hi, my name is Krista Thorne, and I'm looking to teach around the 4th grade level. As far as going about teaching in the 21st century, what I would like to do is I would like to have my classroom set up into groups of 4, preferably in a square, just 4 desks put together. I think this will allow for student interaction, which I think is really important in the classroom. Like our chapter talked about, do not learn content in isolation, and I think that's really important for the students. I also would like to assess their prior knowledge before putting them into groups because I would like to see who's best with technology, also who is the slower readers, who struggles in math, any kind of weakness I would like to put with someone else's strength so that students can help one another and learn from one another, not just me but also their peers. I think is really a useful tool. And I would also like to pair them up with preferably one iPad per student they could rent out for the year. If that's not available in the schools, maybe one iPad per group, preferably. I think this is a great way to allow technology in the classroom for the students at such a young age. And as far as my other thoughts about teaching in the 21st century, I look forward to it because it is a new opportunity. I think it does break a barrier between the students and learning because there's so much out there on the internet that the students can now learn. However, I am a little hesitant on it because there's so much out there and I don't exactly know where to start. And not only that, but since it's something new, the parents may not be the most open towards it. So that might be kind of a struggle, but I look forward to it. As far as meeting the specific needs of my students, I would like to incorporate different ways of learning as far as like the auditory learners versus the kinesthetic. I want to make sure that everyone is learning and up to speed and no one feels behind because they're not learning the way that is best for them. So I'd like to incorporate different ways for that. Just like our chapter talked about the multiple intelligences as well as information processing habits, that goes to show that there really are so many different types of learning between all kinds of students and what is best for them. So I think it is important to incorporate all of those, especially the hands-on for the slower learners. The last thing I want in my classroom is for the slower learners to feel like they're struggling and falling behind because they're not learning the way that's best for them. So I want to make sure that they don't feel like they're falling behind. As far as how prepared I am, I think I'm prepared in a sense that my generation is very technology based, so I am familiar with a lot of technology. However, technology is so big in the world today that there is so much new coming out that there's obviously a lot that I haven't experienced yet. So as far as getting prepared for my classroom, I would definitely do more research into what is the most effective ways for my students and how technology can be used for the good in my classroom and not just be a distraction but can also be the best way for them to learn. As well as before I start using it in my classroom, even though I may be somewhat good with technology because of my generation, I would definitely look into it and make sure I know how to use it and I'm very familiar with it before I bring it amongst my students in case they have any questions. Also, I would want to make sure that I have the best strategies for my students because technology does have a lot that goes along with it that I want to make sure I'm very effective with my kids. And another idea that I think would be good for them is one of my teachers from high school talked about having iPads for the students, and anytime there was independent learning, collaboration is always the best way to go afterwards. So it would be hooked up to a big board such as a Promethean board. And what you do is you just slide any idea you have or any information that you want to share, and it would pop up to the bigger board to share with everyone else. And I think that is a great way to learn because any kind of collaboration, I think, is the best way to go. But as far as independent learning, because there will be some of that in my classroom, I think there should be both. I am open-minded to having MP3 players, not iPods, but MP3 players in my classroom for the students that do not like silence when they do things, such as myself. If I'm writing or working on math homework, I like to have music going on. It helps me think, it makes me calmer. So I do think that is a way that I might go about my kids, depending on how I feel at the time. But I'm definitely open-minded to that. Not iPods so much as that can be more of a distraction in writing time or something of that sort. But that is something I might incorporate in my classroom, and that is what I expect my 21st century classroom to look like.